Hey everyone, it's Real Pastors. We are back this week. We are excited to be here because we have some movie news that we are excited to talk about. And as you know, you may just see me, but I am saying we because, of course, the other half of Real Pastors is here, Sir Gary Hall.
Yo. What's up?
Yeah, there's Gary. He is here with us from his new location, the house.
Yes, I am broadcasting from the house because I currently don't have an office. I miss my office, but instead of the cool posters in the background, I got this wooden North Carolina thing. So,
yes.
Glad
Until hopefully one day soon he will get a true office.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I haven't brought it up yet to my new employers, but baby steps,
That's right.
So,
yes.
Anyway.
So before we get started and get into our movie news, I'd like to go ahead and tell you, if you haven't yet, subscribe to Real Pastors.
That right there.
Yep.
Hit a button.
Just hit the little button down there, the little red button that says subscribe, or in the bottom right-hand corner, you see a little Real Pastors logo. You can hit that and subscribe as well. We're making it easy for you folks. Doesn't cost you a thing, just a click.
Our subscribe don't cost a thing. You know? So, and I feel like we are, I don't want to sound like PBS or anything, but we're a great channel to subscribe to because I feel like we keep the content coming, but not too much. You know what I mean? Like there's some channels I subscribe to that I love, and it's just like every 30 minutes. So I can't watch all this. I got a family, I got, job, I got mortgage, I got a dog, just I can't watch all that. So we'll be here for you, but not too much. We'll be that neighbor that you like and wave to and say, hey, there they are. What are they up to?
Yeah, what are you guys up to? What have you seen lately? What can you tell me about this? Like we are there when you need us.
There you go. It's beautifully said.
Yep. Well, you started it, sir. I just finished it because we're a team, an awesome team at that.
There we go.
Yeah. So we are here and again excited because we actually have movie news because guess what, people? The pandemic is getting better, I guess. I don't even know how to word it, but either way, we're starting to get back to normal with things.
It seems that way.
It is exciting.
It seems that way. Yeah. Vaccinations are on the rise and numbers are whatever they're talking about on the news that I don't understand, but slowly but surely.
But here's what we do understand: more and more theaters are opening up.
Yes,
they're getting more and more percentage capacity that they can allow people to get in, which is going to be great for movie studios because they're like, hey, let's keep releasing out in theaters because we can have more people in theaters, we can make more money. So that all that is very, very exciting. And
go back to a year ago, this channel was a lot of doom and gloom when it came to theaters because we were both, especially me, I was not optimistic on the future of theaters, but I was wrong, thankfully.
Yes, thankfully wrong, and thanks to what was it, Reddit for their stock exchange stuff, keeping AMC alive.
Still don't understand all that, but hey, good job.
Yeah, excellent work. So
I tried to watch a news special on that and still didn't understand it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't understand it either, and that's all there is. So, but to get us started here, Sir Gary has a PSA that he wants to talk to us about. Go ahead, Sir Gary. Let him know what's going on.
Okay. This won't take long, but I do have a quick public service announcement to all you movie lovers out there, and especially movie lovers out there like Efren and myself who love physical media, buying our movies that we love, putting them on a shelf. If you've been watching with us, we are big into that. I did some shopping this week, some retail therapy, if you will, and I went to a Best Buy, one in a big city in Raleigh. So you would think it'd be big and have a big selection. And the PSA is just this, folks, our movies are disappearing slowly, and not slowly, actually. The collection, the choices, the inventory of buying movies in a store is it used to be a wide variety, especially at a place like Best Buy, but now it is like 2 shelves. So Target, same thing. Walmart's getting there. So I say that to tell you, buy your movies that you love. You see a movie in a store, don't spend all your money, be responsible. And you want to add it to your collection, pick it up responsibly because these movies, they're the physical media for whatever reason. We've talked about it before, but just buy your movies. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to get too excited though. But
hey, no, listen. But those are true facts that need to be said. I mean, especially now, like there isn't a whole lot yet. More's coming. And theater, it's not like before where you can just, I'll just go rent this from Redbox or I'll just go do this because not a lot's been coming out. Now, a lot will be coming out. And then, but we'll see. I mean, there are talks, which maybe we can talk to about a later date, about studios wanting to abandon physical media.
Yes.
Which
Warner
is
Brothers, I think. Was it?
Yeah, Warner Brothers has talked about it, and so has Disney. We've talked about that before, but the idea is still floating. So get your movies now while you can, because if they abandon physical media, which is 100% a money move for them, that's the whole reason why. Then, get what you can now. That's all I'm saying. Which, by the way, Gary, you'll be very proud. I have been shopping. I have found The Sandlot on Blu-ray and digital. I've got the 25th anniversary of Roger Rabbit. I got the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I got the classic Mystery Men on Blu-ray. And mind you, each one was only $5 for the exception of Lord of the Rings. It was $10 because it was the 3 theatrical releases.
That's a steal. Yeah,
there you go.
See, it don't cost that much. It's not that bad, I also picked this up, 1917 4K Steelbook, and check this out. It's embossed. I don't think it's the word. Inside art. Big fan of that.
Oh, that's awesome.
I haven't watched it yet, but I own it. So
there we go.
I got it with a gift card. It's $20 at Target. So anyway, buy your movies while you can. So
yes. So moving right along to
a lot of people buying books these days. Sorry.
No, you're good. I have no idea.
Because I like a nice book every now and then, but the books are taking over the movie section at Target.
That's depressing.
At an alarming rate.
Yeah, that's depressing. So, all right. Well, moving on to more movie news and topics and such that we want to get into. And the first one that we are bringing into is the Oscars. And I know maybe some of you have already heard of what's happened this past year. It was down, I guess, another 60%. Pretty much what it sounds like to me. Pretty much the only people who watched the Oscars were, Hollywood stars, critics.
People there.
Yeah, the people there, the critics, stuff like that. Like people who their livelihood is literally around movies. And it seems like no one else in America really cared. Now, of course, there's people talking about apparently it was woke fest and this, that, the other. But that's not really what to focus on today because we try to avoid some of that talk. What I want to focus on, Gary, is of all the movies that were nominated or whatever, how many did you see?
I can't even tell you what's nominated, honestly. I'm zero.
The
Oscars years ago went to in another direction, and talk about the wokeness, but it's also they're not recognizing movies that the everyday people see. So what usually happens is the Oscars come out, I find out who won, and that's when I hear about it. And if it picks my radar, I'll watch it. But zero.
Yeah. Yes. And that's kind of been the trend that I have noticed with the Oscars over the past at least 10 years, I would say. And that's the thing is that like a lot of the movies, like when I looked it up, you saw movies like Nomadland. Probably the most like everyday famous one that people knew was probably Judas and the Black Messiah.
That's HBO Max probably.
Yeah, and so like most people knew about that one, but there were other ones like I knew about I think it's called The Father. I think is what it is.
Yeah,
with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, because I saw a preview of it, but didn't watch it. And these are movies that didn't. I mean, they made money, but they didn't make a whole bunch of money. But like you said, the everyday viewer aren't watching the movies that they're nominating. Now, one can argue and have a little debate. Maybe we shall. Is it just because the everyday viewer isn't watching stuff that's actually Oscar worthy, or is it like the Oscars and everything have just gotten to the point where like if it isn't smaller indie films, they don't care?
I think it's a little bit of both. And I think what it is, because it used to be the people tell you what they want to see by what they go see. And that's what gets recognized, and that's what, people's reviews, how people, that's why I like to look at audience reviews of a movie than like the critics, the Oscars is telling you what they think we should like. And I think people naturally rebel against that, and when I put up the list and it's movies I haven't heard of, but also it's very dark, depressing stuff. Like the one who won Nomadland with what's her name Frances McDormand, great actress, but I looked that up. It is one of the most dope, and I'm not against a dark movie. I just war movies are one of my favorite genres, but like it just seems so like depressing, and every movie is like the world sucks, and it's like I think people are getting tired of that. If I'm making sense.
Yes. Yes. I mean, because like if you even looked at, I guess last year for the year before, you had the movie you just showed, 1917, which quite a few people watched, and you had the masterpiece that is known as Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
But like other than that, there's like what else did people really watch? Like seriously, if it wasn't for best animated feature, and if it wasn't for like what was the category they tried to bring in but then did away with, like best superhero movie or something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that.
They try to make up some random category just to try to get something to where people can be like, oh, hey, look, we like normal people stuff too. But I think that's kind of the problem, because if you think like back in the day, right? Like if you think of, now I know you and I weren't alive for this, but if you just look at history and you see things like Titanic that everybody watched, right? You see,
I watched it more times than I'm ashamed to admit, because love you, Leo.
There you go. Yeah. So, but that was one. I mean, Avatar, like when that came out, everybody, everyone watched that. Obviously, it's the highest grossing film, whatever. And then you also had like Aliens, or there's just all these different movies, because back then it literally was whatever people watched, like you said. That's what they were talking about. But now it just seems that way. It's like if it doesn't have this super dark, depressed like meaning or something, it just almost seems like,
or narrative.
Yeah, or some kind of narrative. Like I guess here's the best way to put it. The gap between the critics and audience in Hollywood is just widening and widening and widening. We see a lot of that, which we'll dig into a little bit here in a second. But like I feel like with the success of Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat, it just shows that people are ready to get back to the movies to have fun.
Yes.
But those are, and I'm not saying they deserve any Oscars, but I'm just saying, but those aren't the ones that are going to be talked about,
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're starting to see this gap starting to play out some more.
Well, also, I think in the Oscars years ago, it's just not fun. Like it used to be appointment viewing for me. The night Leonardo DiCaprio won his Oscar for The Revenant, I watched every inch of that because I felt like it was a historic moment, because in my opinion, he's one of the best actors of our time, and he finally got his recognition. But ever since then, it's just like the movies come out and it's like they don't have the host anymore, because it all started with the Kevin Hart stuff, because he may have said things back in the day, and now they're afraid to have that host. And then Ricky Gervais hilariously roasted them last year in the Golden Globes, and it's like that's what people were talking about. It's not, and it's just not fun. If they and then you mix that with them telling us what you want, the movie's pushing a narrative, and it's just like I'll look at the list and it's just like, I mean, Nomadland, The Father, Fight for You, Yang Jong Young, Another Round, international film. The only one I've heard of right now is Soul,
which would be the animated category.
Yeah, and My Octopus Teacher, that one. What is that?
Yeah,
The Octopus Teacher. Tenet won Best Visual Effects, so we'll give him that.
There we go. All right.
So. But yeah, I mean, you get it.
But the visual effects category, they don't. I'm pretty sure the visual effects one, they don't even broadcast. It's like a behind the scenes thing you got to look for. The stuff they're broadcasting isn't even that, so you don't necessarily hear those, because there are a lot of Oscars that they give out that they don't broadcast, and so like and special effects and stuff kind of depends year to year.
Yeah, and it's more, the Oscars have become more of a insider thing. Let's celebrate ourselves. Let's tell people what they should be watching. And people, I mean, I didn't watch it. I didn't plan on watching it because I didn't care about any of it. And I don't want to get into it, but I also don't want to be hit over the head with different messages, And it's just like, and I think people are like, it's just more of a like party for themselves, Yeah.
And I think the general populace are starting to catch on to that, and seriously, one of two things that have to happen: either movies that the general population are going to watch just need to get better, like they just need to get better. If that's the case, and if that's the argument, and that's the disparity that's going to happen, okay, fine. will make these movies better, right? But at the same time, the other end with Hollywood, they need to not be so discriminatory against movies that the general populace, populace likes. Just like how there's all that stuff about superhero movies can't win Oscars. It's like, really? They can't? Like, we're just gonna just say because you're a superhero movie, you don't deserve any recognition, like just because that's what it is. I mean, because it's just like let's be real. The Dark Knight, as amazing as it was, if it wasn't for the fact that Heath Ledger died, rest his soul, that would have gotten zero recognition.
Yep.
And it's like, why wouldn't that get recognition? I mean, there was a lot of good in that movie on why it should, but just because it's a superhero movie.
Yeah.
And so maybe I'm just thinking there's got to be a little give and take on both ends.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's perfectly put. Give and take. I don't care what a movie's about. If the story's good and the acting's good and it's well done, superhero movie, indie movie, get the recognition it deserves. And if a movie's good enough, people are going to hear about it before Oscar night. You know what I'm saying? And why can't a superhero movie be recognized? Why can't something like Infinity War, Endgame, or The Dark Knight? I mean, they're good movies, and it's what everyone's talking about. You know what I mean? And I think it's an industry that takes itself way too seriously, and that fact is never more evident than on Oscar night.
Yes.
And I think just some type of middle ground. Make it fun. Talk about. If there's a movie like what won last year, Parasite, I didn't hear about that either, but a bunch of people started I didn't see it, but a bunch of people started watching it after Oscar night, and apparently it's very, very good. It's like, okay, well, talk about these movies beforehand, if they're good enough, people are going to see them. But growing up, like even in like the 80s, 70s, like best pictures were like Rocky, all kinds of other stuff, like Shawshank. Shawshank didn't win. It should have
got snubbed.
Forrest Gump, but but movies people heard of and watched throughout the year. Forrest Gump won the Oscar that year, but people were sitting on the ground in the theater to watch it. Yeah, because there was no room for people. But anyway,
and I think that's part of maybe one last point. I think that's part of the give and take that needs to happen, right? Because for these movies to be able to be nominated for an Oscar, unless they changed it because of COVID for this year. I'm not sure on that one. But normally they have to have a theatrical release. They have to. So what a lot of these movies are doing is they're having a limited theatrical release. And usually that limited release is just in the LA area. It usually stays in that area. So technically it has a theatrical release, but they don't have to worry about putting out all the money to make a mass release so other people can watch it. Yeah. And so or even they'll do maybe half the country. So it's like you're automatically limiting it just because this is like has been said, Oscar bait, right? Yeah. Like that this is what this movie is for. So here, let's technically do this and then move on. So maybe the changing of the rules a little bit, like you have to be in so many theaters or something. Yeah. Yeah. So for it to happen if they want people to start watching the Oscars again. Because me personally, like the politics crap that everyone else is talking about. I just wonder if people would at least tune in for a little bit to see if their favorite movie won a category and then turn off. I mean, getting a little bit, like for them, is better than getting nothing, which is pretty much what they had. Yep. So that's where it's like, because let's be honest, like we're not going to convince them to shut up about anything, right?
No, they're not.
If we're able to at least be like, hey, these is one of my favorite movies. Like, hey, like I checked in on the Oscars last year a little bit because I wanted to see who's going to win, 1917 or Ford versus Ferrari.
Yeah.
You know, and I checked out just to see who won, and that was it. But still, like at least I was there. Where this year you didn't have me at all.
No, same. So. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. And it's like other industries are doing the same thing. Maybe not as much, but like we've talked about it. Like I'm obviously a huge baseball fan. They're making decisions I don't like. They're doing political stuff, but they're also bringing me the game that I love. That's that give and take. NFL, same thing. Movies, it's just their way or the highway, and it's like no, the people are showing you gotta give and take.
They're taking the highway.
Yeah, nobody's watching.
Yeah.
So yeah, which it should be a Super Bowl of movies, you know, and it's just like people are like, oh,
Yeah.
what? All right.
Yeah.
So,
And people just aren't there. So
yeah. So tune in next week for our review of The Octopus Teacher. It's a riveting film. So we'll be watching that. So check it out. Octopus Teacher.
Yeah.
No idea.
You know how excited you are right now hearing that from us? Yeah, exactly.
And we just lost a viewer.
I know, right?
Dang it. Come back, please. I'm just kidding.
I know. Come back.
No.
But anyways, well, on that topic of all that kind of stuff, moving on to a movie that a lot of people watched. It's made, I think, almost 500 million, if not already $500 million. And people are very excited about, which is Godzilla versus Kong. And we're bringing this up really for two reasons, because I mean, the first
that's
reason,
a cool picture. I like that.
Yeah, I try to find something cool.
Yeah. Oh, dang
it. So the one reason, like we just talked about, is that this movie's making a ton of money. Now, of course, people are arguing now. You know, a lot of people in Hollywood are upset because, you know, it's just a fun movie. That's all there is to it. And a lot of people are upset about this because it is just a fun movie, and that is it. And what is happening is that more and more people are watching it. And so now there's excuses of, well, there's just nothing else out to compete against it. There's just, you know, there's not a whole lot for people to do. People are excited now because now theaters are starting to open it back up. So there's all these excuses on why this movie has had success. And again, there's political side to all this jargon that we don't want to get into today. However, when it comes down to it, everyone that I know, that I've talked to, heck, even critics, other people that I watch on YouTube and stuff, came out of this and said, yes, this isn't like the best story, best all this kind of stuff. It was just a daggum fun movie, but the movie's called Godzilla versus Kong. So guess what? I got it and I had fun. And with that being the case, that's why this thing has made so much money, which is great. And because of that, now they're talking about the director, Adam Wingard, making a sequel to this. And the rumors is a Son of Kong sequel, which could work within this MonsterVerse, because now that he's in, you know, if you haven't watched the movie, it's been a while. So, but either way, I mean, you saw some of this in the trailer, the Hollow Earth stuff. All right. And where Kong ends up, you know, maybe he finds family, maybe he finds something. We don't know how they're going to do this.
Meets a nice Kong lady.
Yeah, maybe there's one down there. We don't know. However, that's the rumor that could be the direction that they're going with this MonsterVerse. And to me, I'm just excited that it's continuing, because if it wasn't for the fact that this movie was already like halfway through production, we probably never would have got it, because King of the Monsters didn't make a ton of money like they wanted. I mean, it made money, and the movie was profitable. It just wasn't as much as they wanted. And so we still got this movie, and now they're like, hey, let's continue this. People will show up for it. But they're going more to the side of Kong. And on that end, Gary, I'd like to hear from you a little bit. Like, what do you think about this direction? What do you think about the success of it, and then moving forward, possibly doing the Son of Kong angle?
Well, I think the success makes sense because it was intriguing enough to get people in the theater, myself included, twice. And I think if there's ever a year, I'm usually not a proponent of this, but if there's ever a year where we need to kind of just turn our brains off and watch a movie, I think it's this year. And I think that's what this movie was for a lot of people this year, you know. And I'm speaking, you know, things going on in my life. It was nice to shut it down for an hour and 45 minutes and watch these two monsters beat each other up, you know. And as someone, I told you this in a text the other day, as someone who is new to this franchise, just discovered it, I'm glad it's gonna continue. And and I'm, you know, I said in the other videos, I love the Kong character, and to continue his story, I think is pretty cool, because it makes sense, because we've gotten Godzilla, we got King of the Monsters, and we got Skull Island, and then this makes more sense, I think, to continue Kong right now, to give him another movie, you know, which is what DC should have done with Superman, but they didn't. But you know, so yeah, I think it's exciting news. It's good news, and you know, if you know these things make money, people want to watch them, we'll watch them. You know.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like you said, we had two Godzilla movies. We've had one Kong, 1.5, I guess, because of Godzilla versus Kong. Yeah. I know there's probably Godzilla fans out there like myself whose initial reaction might be, really, like we're going more Kong even after what happened in that movie. Things like why aren't we getting more Godzilla? And to this, I say, first of all, let's not get greedy. We've had 2 Godzilla movies, and we had this movie. You know, us Godzilla fans are very happy what happened in this movie. Okay, so like, let's not get greedy. Second of all, if you look at the numbers, and I wish I had this pulled up, so my apologies that I wasn't properly prepared. But when you look at how much money each one made, Kong Skull Island made more money than Godzilla in 2014 and made more money than Godzilla King of the Monsters. Like, not combined, but just like if you take it 1v1. Kong Skull Island made more money. Now, that makes sense because Kong really is the bigger icon here in the States, like we've talked about before in some of our Monster Movie Monday stuff. So for them to say, hey, if this MonsterVerse is going to continue, we're going to have to focus on Kong and then bring Godzilla back into it. Plus, there's some Toho rights stuff that they got to figure out. So why not go along the one you already have rights to? Someone that we are now building new lore, right? Yeah. Because like we talked about before, Kong didn't have a bunch of background stuff.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're able to build Kong more up. So let's be real. Like, I highly doubt they're going to fight again.
Yeah.
But they might need to team up against a bigger threat.
Yeah.
And so we know quite a bit of Godzilla. So you can have this other Kong one. And then on top of that, you can also have Godzilla.
Yeah.
So
they got to defend those tag team Titan titles, you know? So yeah. So I'm all for, you know, a sequel to Kong and Godzilla. You know, what I'm thinking is this just came to me, and I'm trying not to make a wrestling reference because I've done that way too many times. However, what if we get this Kong movie, you know, and then all of a sudden towards the end, Godzilla somehow, some way appears just to remind Kong and us that, hey, I'm still out there. I'm still the king. And remember, I won last time. You know, enjoy your movie, Kong, but I'm still here. That could be cool. You know, that could be a cool little nod to that. But yeah, I think these movies are they're fun and people enjoy seeing them. So yeah, Efren will be back. He has a plumbing issue, and so yeah. How do you feel about this? Comment. Let us know. Some people, they naturally just roll their eyes at sequels, but we got to face facts. We live in a time where sequels are inevitable on a movie that makes money. Like, even movies that don't necessarily need a sequel, if a movie makes money, it's going to get a sequel. They're talking about a Joker sequel. Talk about Dark. Holy cow. That movie depressed me greatly. But if a movie makes money, it's probably going to get a sequel. And this is kind of, inevitable. And you know what? Bring it on. Bring it on, because these are fun movies. So moving on here. So let's see here. So, all right. So yeah, bring on another Godzilla versus Kong movie and continue this story. You know, continue the Titan story, the Titan lore. So we're gonna move on to our next topic. I was trying to find another banner, but I can't remember. I think Efren has those. So more movie news. Gina Carano is rumored to be brought back into the Mandalorian Star Wars universe. If you don't know, and we try not to get political on this show, you know, that there's so much of that outside in this world. We don't want to do that here. But with that being said, at the same time, it's kind of unavoidable because, you know, it's the world we live in, you know. But if you don't know, Gina Carano, Star Wars removed her. Disney removed her from The Mandalorian. Some things she said that they didn't agree with. I don't exactly know what it was, but I do know it was not that big a deal, let's be honest with you. And, you know, the fact that she's being brought back possibly is great news. It's great news because I'll just be honest with you. We cannot continue to allow cancel culture, wokeness to win, and this would be a victory on the other side of things if she's brought back, because people are allowed to disagree. I was talking about Gina Carano possibly being brought back. And I jumped ahead. I said, it's good news, I think. So.
Yeah, I didn't get to completely hear what you said.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I may have to jump off again because I guess he's on his way. However, so we're just trying to do stuff here at the house. However, with this idea, this talk going around of Gina Carano coming back, I can't respond to you, so sorry I didn't hear it all. So I'll just give you my thoughts.
Okay.
I personally think it's a smart move to work past whatever issues they had. Yeah. I heard all the stuff about what they try to do and talk with her or whatever. I don't know. But I think it's a smart move just because of the fact that, even before this whole thing happened, she was already a fan favorite.
Oh, yeah.
This character was a fan favorite. And when you have a character like that get that kind of fame and adoration so fast, what ends up happening is if you recast or just do away with it, you just take off all your fans. And let's be honest, Star Wars fans are the worst to take off.
They are. And
on top of that, do you really want to do that again? No. Do you really want to deal with that? Especially when you have this whole series based off her character that's supposed to be in the works, are supposed to be coming. So I think for the future and for the long haul, it was probably best to, settle your differences and bring her back for the sake of the future of especially this Disney Plus Star Wars side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think kind of what I was speaking to a little bit before you jump back on was, we live in a cancel culture and all that. You're not allowed to have a difference of opinion. And when you do share that difference of opinion, there's no give and take. Like we're talking about a little bit of the Oscars, and there's also zero grace. There's no dialogue. All it is, okay, she said this, and I think it was about mask or something. I don't know. And it was like, okay, well, she's gone. It's like, what? The world cannot operate that way. And I think her being brought back would be a great victory for the war against cancel culture, honestly. And so, yeah, I was against her getting let go for the reasons. And I was, because I like the character as well. And I hope she is brought back for all those reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree. And I hope that this just continues and these talks continue. Again, these were, last I checked, these were serious rumors, I guess is the best way to put it. They're working on things to make this happen. So we'll see if that continues, or we'll see if maybe there'll be stipulations where they're saying okay, we want to bring you back. We know this is good for the franchise and all this stuff, but here are the things you got to abide by. We'll see if she says okay or no, or there's obviously going to be some negotiation here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So we'll see how this all pans out, and hopefully they get it worked out. Right now, Mandalorian and all that stuff is the one good thing Star Wars has going for it. So let's not botch that as well.
Indeed. And you know what? Here's the thing. And some people are probably going to disagree with what I'm about to say. Get off Twitter. It's seriously, it doesn't help anything. Just have a conversation one-on-one with people. How many times is this going to keep happening? You know what I mean? Good and bad. It helps nothing. And I used to be a proponent of it, but it does not help. Just get off Twitter. And you know what? If Disney, if Star Wars, even though I don't agree, if they want to tell their, as their employer, hey, don't say stuff like this online, fair enough. Do I agree with it? No, but your employer has a right to do that.
Yes. Just like an employer has a right to fire you over something stupid you put on social media. That is a bad look for their company, right? So I get it. They're within their rights. Again, I may not agree, and apparently it was multiple tweets or something. I may not agree, but at the end of the day, they're the employer. They have the rights to do so.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I think it was about the mask mandate and stuff like that. But yeah, I think speaking to this, have a conversation. Don't put things online like that. Just on any side, because it does not help. I know a lot of us, no matter what you believe politically, we think we're saving the world by our tweets and our posts, and sometimes, they are helpful. But you know what? at the end of the day, it's just throwing gasoline on stuff. Because here's the thing with online, and this is for politics, this is for movie stuff. Unfortunately, it used to be a place where we could go and have fun and talk about it, but people get online to find something to disagree with. And if people want to find it, they're going to find it, and if you're someone like Gina Carano, even though, whatever, I mean, just don't do stuff like that, don't, because it doesn't help anything. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to say, and I think Efren agrees with me, good news for her to be brought back. Just like it was good news for, what's his name, to be brought back to Guardians of the Galaxy. What was the director's name? Was it James Carter? What was that director's name? No, he doesn't know. What was his name? Guardians of the Galaxy. James Gunn. Yeah, James Gunn being brought back to Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, if I don't want to be held accountable for things I might have said as a 15-year-old on MySpace or whatever, you know what I mean? It just, we got to have some grace with people. We got to create a dialogue. And this whole, you said that, you're done. It doesn't fly. Going back to some news we got here from, go to Tim Bussey, our resident Ohioan. Let's see. Just jumped on. Godzilla versus Kong was good, other than trying to give both King Kong and Godzilla a conscience. But it is a large gorilla versus a large lizard. Yes. I mean, trying to give him a conscience. I mean, okay. I think that gave it some good character development, if you will. So moving on to some more news. Let's see. We talked about Oscars, but we do have a couple more things we want to get to before we close. It is official. Michael Keaton will don the cowl once again in at least the Flashpoint movie. This is huge news. We talked about this last summer when it was rumored, but it was made official last week sometime that Michael Keaton has officially signed on to do Flashpoint. He was in talks. He wasn't sure. He had some other things going on. But as someone who grew up with Michael Keaton as Batman for Batman and Batman Returns, my first movie in theater was Batman Returns. And I watched 1989 Batman over and over and over again. I know every word to the movie. It's nostalgic to me, and I always wanted to see him in some form or fashion be brought back as Batman, So this is great news. I am thrilled to see it again. It'll be, like I said, nostalgic. And that's going to be a very interesting movie because we're also going to get Ben Affleck in there somehow. The Flashpoint story it does with all the timelines and, I don't know all the lore, but Flash does all this crazy stuff. But Michael Keaton, he will be back as Batman and at least the Flash. And welcome back. I was talking about Michael Keaton. I don't want to keep going on about cancel culture because I didn't want to get on a rant too much. But but yeah, I was just saying how excited I am to see him, even if it's in a quick cameo, to see Michael Keaton as Batman for at least a little bit. It's going to be very nostalgic, and I'm excited for it.
Yes, I'm excited for that as well, mainly because here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping it leads to more Michael Keaton Batman.
Yep.
I mean, look at that.
Yep.
Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Yep.
It's iconic. I'm hoping it leads to more. I'm hoping that we do get to see a little bit more out of him. Maybe my dream, and I think a lot of people's dream, is what if this led to Batman Beyond?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I think that's where some of us are just like, man, like where the excitement comes, not only are we seeing him again in Flashpoint, but being able to have that potential of this is where it could go. And I'm really hoping that that's the angle that it takes. I mean, Batman the Animated Series exists because this movie existed.
Yep.
And the original Batman. And this really catapulted superhero movies to let people know you can make a good superhero movie. And so like if it wasn't for this movie, and people can make fun of some of it and Tim Burton's weirdness, if it wasn't for this movie, then guess what, we wouldn't have everything we have today, I don't think. Or maybe it would have just taken a little bit longer at the very least.
I, I think Batman Returns especially, and I think it's before it's a little ahead of its time,
Mhm.
because it's why Warner Bros. Went a different direction because they wanted something different. But I think if something like that came out today with the success of darker stories, darker comic book movies, stuff like Logan, Joker, stuff like that, I think people would flock to the theaters to see this, and it would be well received because this is the type of things that people enjoy. And I've always wanted to see that third installment of the Burton Keaton Batman universe. So what I'm hoping is that this cameo, I'm trying to get my hopes up, will kind of bring Burton back in, let him finish that story out with an older Michael Keaton Batman, and then springboard that into what you were saying, Batman Beyond. That would make this Batman fan very happy. So
yes, I think it'll make a lot of Batman fans happy. I mean, a lot of superhero love affairs started with this movie. I mean, there's just too much, and then bringing him back, having him do this. I mean, even him, I forget what, maybe I can't remember where he was at, but he gave that speech, and at the end of the speech, he said, "Remember, I am Batman." Like he just all into it, and this is just good news all the way around. Hopefully, DC doesn't mess it up. Yeah. So, and here we go. We got Tim on here. Fun fact: Michael Keaton attended Kent State, the same university Kylie and Kirsten, which are his daughters, will be attending.
All right, cool.
Keaton so that State is University. There we go. I didn't know that, so I learned something new.
Keaton State is what I will call it.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Keaton State.
So yeah, Michael Keaton, one of my favorite actors because he represents a big part of my childhood, not just as Batman, but other things. Mr. Mom, Multiplicity. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Beetlejuice.
Yes. Right. And then him as Vulture in Spider-Man Homecoming, which he did a great job of.
Yep. That scene with him and Peter Parker in the car is one of my favorite. He's great. And glad to see him back. And
very, very excited to have him back. Very excited that he's going to be a part of that. And then just maybe catching up here. I mean, Tim had some other stuff to say here. Look at this.
Yeah,
he said this earlier. I don't know if did you bring this one up, Gary?
I did.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So I told him that the Conscious gave it character development, and he didn't agree because he said Godzilla has the brain of a walnut. So
yes, yeah, he did bring that one up. I mean, but in all fairness, it is a lizard.
It is a lizard.
I mean, if you look at his head, his it's a big walnut compared to us, but still, in comparison to King Kong, I mean, we talked about that when we talked about who would win when we did our little debate of how Kong is the smarter of the two.
Yes.
So. We did agree with that, but however, Kong was just, he's still a giant monkey at that.
Yeah.
And, and that's all we can really talk about. So, next week we want to give you guys a sneak peek of what's happening next week. We are going to be talking about the summer movies that we are excited about because we actually have summer movies coming out this year.
Yep. Summertime is finally here.
Mm-hmm.
It's approaching. And we got some movies to talk about.
Oh, yeah. We are excited. And you know what? We don't care that they're being released in theaters and on streaming because we'll be going to theaters to watch it, but we're going to be talking about the ones that we are the most excited about. And so in the meantime, maybe you want to drop in the comment below some of the ones that you're excited about. We can bring that up next week. And or next week, just comment along with us, live chat, and let us know the ones we're excited about if you agree, disagree, or maybe you're just like, hey, you forgot about this one. Let us know.
Because we can forget sometimes. It happens.
Yes, it happens. So thanks again for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe, share, turn on the bell, hit that like button so the YouTube gods will be pleased. And we will see you guys next time.
Goodbye.